What's going on, guys? It's New 603 from Shustybang, and joining me today is a special guest, Mr. Scannerbarkly.
Hello, folks.
Now, one of the things that someone had brought up in episode 7 of Stu on PC was people want to know what our plans were for competitive gameplay for Battlefield 4. We had mentioned previously that, when Battlefield 4 comes out, one of the things we really wanted to get into was competitive gameplay. So, first off, we want to cover why do we want to do this, because I think a lot of people are kind of scratching their head. Guys, why do you want to do this? This isn't something you really haven't done in the past. So, Scanner, I'll let you lead it off with why is it you want to get into the competitive gameplay scene of Battlefield 4, the esports scene, as it were.
Yeah, the esports. I love that term. For me, it was watching guys like Daskro and the work he was doing around Battlefield 3, trying to grow the competitive scene, got me kind of intrigued by the initial idea of me getting involved. But it's only recently that my skills would be anywhere close to where they'd need to be to survive. So Battlefield 4 is it's an opportune time. It's a new game. The scene will hopefully be well supported and very, very kind of busy. And at the end of the day, it's a great way to actually improve. Like, the best way to get better is to play against better opponents. And you're just not guaranteed that in the pub lobbies. You could have a great team on the other side, or you could have a shit team on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Getting into pub games is very inconsistent as to what you get into. Unless you get into a dedicated lobby, like, I don't know, just for example, like the U-Rock servers. I don't know if they really are, but that's kind of a name that a lot of people could familiarize themselves with, or, at least recognize. Sometimes you get a lot of dedicated players that play on that, and they're pretty good. So if you hop onto that server, then, yeah, you're probably going to be playing against a good team all night. But if you're just kind of bouncing around from server to server, there's no guarantee you're going to be playing against good people the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather a close-fought, good game than just stomping out some kids who, especially recently, have just picked up a copy of BF3.
Yep, exactly. Well, as for me, it's pretty simple. I'm a very, very competitive person, and it just makes sense that I try and get into the competitive scene because pretty much every time we play, I try and go try hard. Like, there are some rare occasions where I just feel like screwing around and kind of going all chaboy on Battlefield 3 and just kind of trolling people. But that's rare. I have always had this thing for winning, and I think it stems from being a little kid. I was always on the losing team. I never really won anything. Back in even Little League, we were runners-up for our championship. That was kind of like synonymous of my entire childhood was just runner-up to fucking everything. So I had this competitive fire in me. I even compete in bass fishing. I do a lot of tournaments. Not so much this year because, it's the first year really with my son, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. I'm very competitive, and it just makes sense that I try and give it a shot. One of the things that I've always wanted to, or one of the things I've really always prided myself in is while I'm not the greatest player, I do pretty well when I'm playing with all my friends. I'm usually in the top 5 when I'm actually taking myself seriously and I'm putting forth my best effort. So I just kind of want to take all of that and take my normal gameplay, which is talking, tactically and working as a team as best we can to always win.
Yeah.
And apply it to the competitive scene and see what I'm capable of. I'm just really, really curious if I can hold my own inside the competitive scene and not just pub stomping.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it will take a while, I'd say, to get to anywhere we want to be. It's not like we're gonna okay, I want to be competitive, and then you just end up on a competitive scene. You gotta earn your stripes, and kind of get a name for yourself within the scene as a good player. Become a part of, a community or a group of players, and it's probably going to be important to show that you can take on board advice without getting butthurt. That was the way most teams used to operate back when I was into competitive Unreal and shit. It's they'd have a little kind of vetting system as to can this guy actually listen if we're just trying to help him, or is he going to think he knows everything? So I imagine nothing much has changed there, and we'll just have to I think it will make for interesting content as well, our journey through the competitive kind of BF4 scene, how far we can make it, and maybe even us doing so publicly will help people who are sitting there at their computers now thinking, I'd love to get into competitive Battlefield, but I have no idea how.
Right, exactly. So the other question we have to ask is, how are we going to go about getting into the competitive scene? Or actually, more specifically, how are we going about preparing ourselves for the competitive scene? I think that was actually the specific question. If I were smart, I would have already had it pulled up in front of me to reference. But for the time being, I'm going to have to do with my shaky memory. What I'm doing, me personally, I'm just trying to keep playing as often as I can. And I know if anyone that follows me on Twitter and especially Scanner too, you guys have seen that we've been having a lot of problems with BF3 lately, especially since the Humble Bundle kids have all jumped on, because there's just like crazy latency issues going on, and it makes for a very, very frustrating experience anytime you hop in and you have to deal with that. But it's very, very important that you play a minimum amount, per week. And, for some people they need it daily, but for me, I just need to get on at least once a week to maintain my skill level. And episode, was it 5 of Snoop on PC, one of the more recent ones I just did, I talked about the fact that I feel like now my skill level on PC is as good, if not better, than when it was on PS3. And not to toot my own horn too much, but when I was on PS3, I actually felt I was an above average player. I was holding down top 3 all the time. We always played tactically and everything. We always played revolving around teamwork and stuff because we were always going for the win. Score per minute and KDR didn't mean shit, and it still doesn't because I want the win. Okay. So that's the how of all this for me personally. I'm just trying to play as often as I can and just completely further familiarize myself with all the controls of PC so that it just becomes as natural as possible. So when the time comes we do get into Battlefield 4, I'm just ready to go. And it's simple as that.
Yeah. For me, it's been a case of realizing how fortunate I am with regard to the people that I play with. Like, when I get to play regularly, like pretty much daily basically, with guys like, Tim and Ole from BFP, Jake, Mantis, guys who are really good. And one of the things that I first struggled with when I kind of moved from console to PC was just the scale difference. Just all of a sudden, instead of like 12 guys aside, there's 32 guys aside, and they occupy and populate different areas of the map, and you gotta watch for different places. Then of course there was getting used to the mouse aim and all that kind of shit, and everybody was very patient and everybody was very helpful in helping me to improve my game. So that's still what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pay close attention to what more experienced and more skilled players are telling me, and the more I kind of assimilate the information, put it into practice in my games, the better I do. Week on week I'm improving, so that's just the route I'm going to stay taking. I'm lucky as well, I can just go after Daskro every now and then for some advice and help, and I'm sure I'll be talking to him about the best way to actually start in the competitive scene as well.
Yep, I agree with that.
I think we're fortunate, so I think it is a good idea to do this and kind of put the information out there and make other people, have an easier time getting into competitive.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. And I actually think it's going to go over really well because, we did the whole golf squad thing. And I know you featured some live comms on your channel too. And it's going to be the same thing, but now it's not like oh, you were playing against some so-so players. Now it's like, holy shit, okay, well, they're playing against the best of the best. In most cases, I'm sure we're not going to get the best of the best, but everyone will be playing against, it's a competitive scene. You're going to be playing against the upper tier player.
Yeah, the higher skilled gentleman at the other end of the internet.
Yep, and I'm curious to see how it's all going to shake out. We could just make this really easy and get JimmyTheSnake to play with us, and we'd probably win everything.
Yeah, we could just sit back and put our feet up and Jimmy, go win.
Jimmy is the Colonel 100 of Battlefield 3 of pretty much every game.
I killed him once in Crisis, and I've never felt that good ever in my life. The one time I managed to kill Jimmy, it's like, I quit this game. There is nothing else to do.
If you guys have not checked him out, I'll leave a description in the video description, I'll leave a link to his channel. The guy's good. I've played with him a few times, and he's just stupid good at video gaming. But at any rate, just one of the last points I want to bring up about competitive gaming. I was really excited about this. I believe Scanner is the one that actually brought it up at first. He had the idea, and he was like, yeah, I want to get into it. And immediately at peak my interest, like, dude, I'm in. Count me in. From this moment on, I am your teammate. And thus far, it's pretty much just the two of us that are set in stone. I think Jake, in the Works Media, is going to be involved, and I'm sure we can get other people who get involved here and there too. And I'm looking forward to that. But once we heard about some more information from Battlefield 4, and specifically that game mode Diffuse, which seems like it could be like their go-to esport game, if you will, the one that'll put them on, the kind of the competitive gaming scene. That just made it like even more exciting for me because Diffuse is essentially a knockoff of Search and Destroy originally from Counter-Strike, but it seems to be more closely associated with Call of Duty. And that was the thing that got me back into gaming, was playing Call of Duty with Fake Thriller after I graduated college, and that was our thing with Search and Destroy. And we dominated in that. That was our go-to game mode, and we freaking wrecked people on a game-to-game basis. We almost never lost that. So knowing that's coming back from Battlefield 4, it's probably going to be a huge part of the competitive scene, and I want to get into the competitive scene. Like, it's just like this perfect storm of everything coming together.
Nice.
That it just makes sense to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it should be fun, to a degree.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there's... I'm going into it, and kind of I guess this is my last point. I'm going into it open-minded and loosely, in the sense of, like, I'll take it serious. I cannot make the time to do, like, if we join some sort of team and they have, like, set team scrims, like, a couple nights a week at a certain time, well, unfortunately, life will not allow me to do that all the time. But when I can make it, I will make the effort to get it done. But I'm going into it just thinking, okay, have fun. And yeah, I'm going to do my best and try and actually make a name for myself inside of the competitive scene and see if I can be that, like, upper tier level player. But if I just end up being really, really shitty at it and I get my ass kicked and it's not fun, I'll own up to it and I'll back away from it, because it should be fun. That, first and foremost, it should always be fun. And if it's not fun and I'm just getting super frustrated because I suck compared to everyone else, then I'll own up to it and be like, sorry guys, I had to quit because I got tired of getting my shit pushed in.
Yeah, exactly. No shame.
Nope. So, alright guys, that's going to wrap it up. I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts and opinions and input on the competitive scene and what they plan on for Battlefield 4. And especially if anyone has any previous experience in the competitive gaming scene. Let's hear some feedback. I want to know the good and the bad, what you got away from it, like what kind of player you were going into it. Like, man, if you have to leave a wall of comments, like 10 comments to explain your story, I don't care. I want to hear the stories. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the video description, you will see a link to Scannerbarkly's channel. I implore you to go check him out. Makes awesome content. He's an all-around good dude. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I would appreciate it. I'll catch you guys later.
It only cost me $1,000 to get Snoop to say that.
Yeah!
Oh yeah!
Alright, later guys.